To my podcast about sports, about sports.
Howdy, Ags. Welcome to the Tailgates, home of Aggie Football. Coach, the delivery man. What's up, Corey?
What's up, Alejo?
Man, living the life, brother. Living the life, just hanging out with my sling over here.
Have you told anybody how that really happened?
Huh?
Did you tell anybody how that really happened?
No, we can't talk about it.
Okay. Okay. Don't forget I was there.
Yep. No, it's important. My number one witness.
There you go.
So today's episode brought to you by Frida Homes, building Aggie dreams, custom home builders with over 15 years of experience in the Brazos Valley. If you're looking for someone that cares about you and the details you care about, contact Frida Homes. Visit them on Instagram at frida.homes or give Justin a call at 979-450-4466. When you call, just remember, everyone loves Frida Homes.
Their Frida Homes.
Folks, don't forget to email us at agstailgate@gmail.com. See us on YouTube. Subscribe. It is my understanding we are back on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We will continue to try to get those posted for just the audio folk that want to just listen to the audio, and when it's easier for them that way. So we'll continue to try to get that done. Corey, how's it going, man? Football season's about to start this weekend. Saturday's games, baby.
Oh, I know, man. I can't wait. What do we? I think there's 7 or 8 games this weekend. I'm pretty sure we'll probably bet on every one of those games.
Guaranteed.
I already got a guy, I'll call him the Chicken Man, already texted me, telling me he likes Jacksonville State +1 against UTEP.
I can't tell you how much I disagree with that.
I do too, man. I was gonna text him back and he's like, "You're an idiot," but he's been on a heater lately with UFC. He said he's been picking the UFC fights. He's won about $2,200 in the last couple of weeks. So I can't, maybe
People that brag about how much they're winning always forget to tell you all the losses.
No, not us here, not here. We'll tell you all of them.
We will tell you about the losses. First
up, we've been pretty hot lately.
Who's going to be the first upset this coming weekend? USC? What are you thinking?
I don't know if there really will any upsets this weekend. I mean, Notre Dame's playing Navy.
Notre Dame, baby, going down.
Okay. I like Notre Dame's quarterback. I like Sam Hartman. They got Hartman from Wake Forest.
Yeah.
But the problem is they don't run the same offense there that he ran in Wake Forest. So, he's going to be more of a drop back quarterback instead of faking the run all the time.
And he's got some pretty darn good tailbacks, man. So he should have the opportunity to hand it off and create some matchups for himself as a quarterback, right?
But real quick, I'll tell you, UTEP, Jacksonville State, UMass, New Mexico State, who gives a shit about that? That's like 2 of the worst teams in college football.
Nobody.
Ohio, San Diego State, Vanderbilt playing Hawaii. There you go, SEC.
Hey.
Vandy's favored by almost 18 points.
I'm going to take Vandy still. I'm not going to allow the upset there.
And USC and San Jose State, USC's favored by 31.
I'm going to take the upset on that one though.
And then FIU and La Tech.
With the points, of course.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, Corey, let's go through some comments here from our friendly folks on the YouTube. Jay Paul says, don't sleep on Platt at tight end. He is the real deal. Hey, look, Jay, we agree. Oak Platt's gonna be a player. Oak Platt's gonna be a player. Let me silence this damn phone.
Yeah.
I don't think it's this year yet. I think, I think that there's some guys in front of him. I think that he's not going to be, he's not going to be ready to step on the field with the physicality as far as blocking and those types of things, right? So,
Right.
he's probably a year off from being a part of that rotation, if you ask me. But I do like the kid a lot, and I think he's going to be a weapon in the future as far as the passing game is concerned. What are your thoughts, Corey?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think he might have a chance to play this year quite a bit with Green getting hurt. But you have Max, you have the Swede, you have what's his name, Johnson.
Jake Johnson, Theo.
I mean, you got a lot of 4 and 5 stars that already been recruited ahead, before this guy even showed up to campus. I think he might get a little bit of time, which I would give him a little bit of time, but there should be a lot of talent in that tight end room.
Yeah, he is a
Like,
talented kid. I do expect him to be a big part of the passing game in future years. I'm just not sure it's this year.
yeah. Have you seen him practice at all?
Yeah, he's an athletic, fluid kid. I mean, he's got good movement skills. He's not like super big right now, right? He's just out of high school, right? So he does have some growing to do as far as his physicality is concerned and those types of things. He's got to get in the weight room a little bit and put a little bit of mass on that way. But he's a fluid runner. He catches the ball well. In time, he's gonna be a guy that helps this passing game. Like I said, I just don't think it's this year.
Gotcha.
So let's see, who do we got here? Tyler Eubanks says that someone's gonna have to step up at blocking tight end. And it sort of goes with what we were just talking about. I think we still have a lot of bodies, and all those guys are pretty big, right?
Well, you got Max still, Max is still there.
Look,
that's
Max
like
is reliable for sure, and I do think that Max is going to take quite a few reps, especially as a blocking tight end.
Right.
Garson's a guy that's been talked about as a pretty decent blocker as well. But don't look past Jake Johnson and Theo either, because both of those guys are big-bodied, kids that can go get the job done. Now, does that mean that, I don't know, that they're going to provide the effort that's necessary and the dedication to that side of the game? I hope so. I certainly hope so. Because that's you get that part of your game in, and all of a sudden you become the type of player that is all conference, and later in life as an as a pro, one of those Pro Bowl type guys, right? If you can block, I mean, think of Gronk. He was so good because of the fact that the dude actually was part of the running game as well.
Right.
And then when the mismatches came, I mean,
he had great hands. Yeah, he could.
So
big, ran good routes. Hey, I had a question for you.
Yeah,
we're talking about tight ends. So if you're a defensive coordinator, what aspect of the Aggie game are you trying to shut down first? If I'm a defensive coordinator, what I'm doing first of all is I want to test that offensive line to see if they're as bad as last year, right?
Yeah.
So you test them you bring pressure, right? You're going to stunt. You're going to do the stunts, the stupid stunts that you always talk about.
Yep.
Now, the reason I'm saying about tight ends, because you're talking about blocking tight ends, I think that's going to have a lot to do with chipping. And the second part is our weapons are on the outside, right? Nobody's thinking about our tight ends right now, or maybe even our running backs, because they're all pretty fresh. So the middle of the field should be wide open, don't you think? If the coach, if I'm thinking like Bobby Petrino, and if I'm thinking like a defensive coordinator, I'm thinking the Aggies going to hurt me with their weapons on the outside because they're badass. And we know they have talent in the backfield. They got a 5-star, one of the top running backs in the nation at a high school, plus 2 other guys. But I know they have some talent at tight end, but it's unproven. They couldn't even get on the field last year. So what? You see what I'm saying? I think the opportunities for tight ends are going to be there.
Look, I 100% agree with you. If I am a defensive coordinator, let's talk about week 1 against New Mexico. If I'm the New Mexico defensive coordinator, because this is not a talent
house every play.
This is not a talent versus talent, but that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing a lot of stunting and twisting. I'm bringing inside linebackers, and you're probably right, leaving the middle of the field somewhat open, because end of the day, I don't believe that they're going to kill me with those tight ends. I don't think that the offensive line is going to pick up the stunts. At least they didn't do it last year. So that's where I'm going to try to gain my advantage. And
exactly.
as far as on the other side, you can expect Bobby Petrino to try to get the ball outside pretty quick if that's the kind of issues that we're having, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. And now, if we have problem holding up on the O line against New Mexico, whoever the hell we're playing, I'm gonna fire Jimbo after that game. He's just gone.
We'll know very quickly whether Adazio is doing any better or not.
Right. Or
Another
Jimbo's
comment
doing
here
better.
from our Miami listener, Corey, our new King God, who's left several messages with us. He says Miami has tons of weapons and the O-line's going to be great. He wants us to do some research before we start talking. Said he is saving the last episode for until the game after Miami because he thinks we're going to get our ass whooped. What do you think?
What? Our ass whooped? Oh God. Well, I think Miami. I think their offensive line. I read up about it. They have a kid from Alabama that transferred in. Another kid from UCF, Central Florida. They can't be any worse than they were last year. They get their top, I think, tackle Zion, somebody I can't remember his name back. So they have 2 returning starters plus these 2 transfers. They can't be any worse than last year. The problem, yeah, the line sucked, but so did the quarterback. The quarterback was supposed to be up for the Heisman, preseason Heisman hype. I don't even know if he finished the season. I'm not sure what happened. I mean, they lost to us and they lost to Middle Tennessee State or somebody. They lost to, I mean, they don't have weapons on the outside that I've heard of. So, I mean, they have talent. Don't get me wrong. Miami's going to have talent. And Mario, he was supposed to be known as a great coach coming in there as a recruiter and being from there, right?
Look, I don't believe in Mario Cristobal at all. He didn't do crap at Oregon. He ain't done crap at freaking Miami. But I'm going to let Fat Cheddar respond for me. Fat Cheddar, who left a note on this one, he says, we heard all this last year, and we still won with the worst team we've had in 15 years. So there you go. The worst team in the SEC beat Miami last year. That was us, by the way. After Homeboy kept talking about how good they were going to be and how much they were going to beat us by 30. That's all the research I need right there. Thank you, Fat Cheddar, by the way.
Yeah.
Also, our boy, New King, also asked if we're concerned that Connor has not been named the starter yet. High expectations as a 5-star, but he hasn't separated himself from Johnson. Any thoughts on that, Corey?
I don't get it. If Connor's not the starter, then something doesn't make sense. I mean, I think Max is a fine quarterback. He's a fine backup. But we're not going to get to where we want to be with Max Johnson as our starting quarterback. So, Max could probably lead this team to a 7-5, 8-4 record if he started all year. I want to do better than that. To get to our 10-2s, 11-1s, conference championships, Connor's got to be the starter.
I can't be any more clear than I am going to be right now. I have no concern over this. Jimbo is just doing Jimbo things. Connor will be the starter. Let me say that again. Connor will be the starter. I don't care when he names him. There you go.
Agree with you.
I'd say I can say this, but whatever. Chuck has a bold prediction of his own. He says Connor will be in contention for the Heisman. Says he thinks we're not completely sold on him, but he gave us a chance to win every game he played. The offense held him back. He circles 4 games on the calendar: Arkansas, Bama, Ole Miss, LSU. They could go 2-2 in those games. Not buying the hype on Tennessee. Expects 10-2, but history says 9-3, maybe 8-4. I guess we just say thanks, Chuck. Think you've got something going there. I believe we expressed a lot of the same sentiments last week, right?
Yeah, I think we have an all-around team. I don't think we need Connor to win the Heisman, but it'd be nice.
Hey, it was your bold prediction, though, wasn't it?
It could have been.
Who remembers last week?
I don't know. I started drinking.
A little recruiting news, Corey. We had another offensive lineman, Blake Ivy, a big 4-star kid, great recruit. The 5th offensive line commit in this class, which I think is huge. They need a big offensive line class. It brings us up to around number 7, depending on which recruiting circles you're looking looking at, and 20 total recruits in the class. So the class is shaping up. But we've talked about it before. This class is going to be made or not made based off of what they do on the field this year, right?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. If they win, we'll keep them all and then get some more. But if they lose, sayonara.
Warren Moon comes and speaks to the team. Corey, what is your thoughts on that?
What did he have to say? Do you have any idea what he had to say to the team? Because I mean, what would he say? Like, hey, don't get a big lead and lose it. I mean, what do you say? I mean, you know what I mean? I mean,
hey, might be able to tell him a lot about the sexual harassment thing. After he speaks, maybe it's a good thing that the Aggies don't have cheerleaders.
There you
So
go.
we'll go with that.
Why is Warren Moon speaking to the team? Is he getting somehow that I didn't know about?
I guess. Look, to be fair, he was an All-Pro Hall of Fame quarterback, so I guess maybe something to do with that.
Hey, dude, that guy could chunk it all over the field. I'll give him that much. I mean, he wasn't
Sling
afraid to. He threw a beautiful ball, man.
He did.
I mean, just tight. Oh, loved it.
Yeah, no, that is true. That is very true. So Jimbo, Corey, had a presser this Monday.
This should be good.
We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but just as usual, same old gibberish, not saying much. Everybody's doing great. Physical, competitive scrimmage. And then obviously told us no announcement on the quarterbacks. I guess if anything to take from the whole presser was they came out of the scrimmage healthy. Fathery is starting to get some reps. He played some, so he's starting to get back into the mix. And then apparently Foster, who's always out and still is scheduled to be back sometime soon. So, that's probably about all we can take from that.
Is Foster expecting to start the season?
I think the closer we get to the season, the less likely I find that to happen. Yeah,
seriously. I mean, so who's starting center?
I believe Nabu right now is probably getting the majority of the reps. Strickland is also getting a bunch of reps. So between those two guys, I think they're taking the majority of the center reps right now.
Hey, by the way, I did hear today Haynes King was announced starting quarterback for Georgia Tech.
Hey, man!
Shout out to our boy.
Congratulations to Haynes. You know how much I like that kid.
I know. I was just giving you a heads up.
I appreciate the heads up on that, man. Good news, man. And I think he's going to be throwing to a former Aggie in Chase Lane, and Andre White on the other side of the field will be helping defensively.
I think it's funny. We give Boston College shit for us taking Boston College players, and Georgia Tech comes and takes 3 of ours. What can that do? There's a 5-17 here. Take 3 of our players. Go ahead. Yeah.
And they're getting better.
Yeah. They are. God, they have shitty talent over there.
All right. I do have one comment on one of Jimbo's deals from this press conference. So he made it a point to tell everybody that during the scrimmage, it was good for the quarterbacks. It was good for the quarterbacks because they had time in the pocket in order to throw the football, to go through their reads, to do those things. So the quarterbacks were really excited and happy after the scrimmage because they were able to just play ball, so protection.
So they're getting protection by that offensive line?
Yeah, you tell me
what defensive line was coming after him? Was it Durkin running a 3-man front?
This is my problem with this comment, right? Our defensive line is supposed to be the strength of this team, not just offensively or defensively. The strength of this team, period. I mean, we've got 17 number 1 defensive line recruits in the last 3 years. This tells me that Durkin is up to his usual tricks. Basically, playing 3-man line, dropping defensive ends into coverage, and allowing an offensive line to feel comfortable by only blocking 3 guys with 5. That's what this is telling me. It absolutely has nothing to do with the offensive line, by the way. Nothing.
Hey, the guy I was talking to that took Jackson State, I asked him about Durkin when he was because he's from Old Miss.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey, what do you think about us getting Durkin?" He goes, "That guy sucks." That's what he told me. He goes, "That guy sucks." It's like, "You're not sorry you lost him over there at Ole Miss?" He goes, "Hell no, that guy sucks."
Look,
Exactly what he
folks
said.
at Maryland were happy to see him go. People at Michigan were happy to see him go. People at all the places he's been, we're all happy to see him go.
Well, see, I didn't know that he was in some kind of scandal thing at Maryland about a kid dying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Damn.
also true.
I talked about it today. Yeah.
David Pollock, former ESPN analyst, he's been fired. And
What was he fired for?
apparently he was fired for not being entertaining. I don't know. I mean, what do you get fired for at ESPN? Either that or for harassing a coworker or something, probably.
He probably wouldn't take a pay cut.
He probably wouldn't, because nobody watches ESPN anymore. That's probably pretty much the reason they fired him, right? Like, they don't actually show like sporting events that are quality.
Yeah, I haven't watched Sports Center in forever, man. I just watch
They don't
either
show
live
highlights on
TV or
Sports Center. Why would you
Netflix.
watch it? He's
Let's
a
get him
former
on the podcast then.
player, though.
Yeah, he went to Georgia.
And he felt, I guess, the need to comment. He was on, I think, with who's the former Alabama quarterback that's over there with ESPN?
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I'm losing his name too, but he was on with him on the radio, and he just had to tell everybody that he can't trust A&M. He's got no faith in A&M. He can't trust them because of the culture. And he went on to elaborate from that. What are your thoughts on Pollock's commentary?
I think it's sound. I can understand that because I mean, what's there to trust? What have we shown anybody? We went 5-7 last year with all this supposed talent. We haven't won the big games. We won a couple games. One game against Alabama when Johnny was here, and we made some noise. But it seems like whenever we get up, we come right back down.
Zach Calzada beat Alabama, buddy.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. But what did they do next? What happened after that?
They lost.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree with you. Look, I agree with you. You can't. He's right. You can't trust him. You can't trust him. They got to show it. Now I don't know what he's talking about, culture and all that. Blah 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 blah. You know, he's definitely looking for some attention. I'm guessing he needs another job. But
we're hired.
We pay well too, and we pay well.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so 10 days from the start of the season, Saturday, September the 2nd at 6 p.m.
Can't wait.
Kyle,
Can't wait.
On ESPN, Corey.
Live
on ESPN, baby.
Yeah.
The big network. Dude,
I know what we'll be doing. We'll be getting.
That is correct.
That's our draft day.
There's still some tickets available. You can get them cheap, anywhere from $25 to $500. You know, depending on.
I take the 500.
Yeah, I mean $500. That ain't shit.
Shit, ain't shit.
You know, they're offering tailgate packages where the A&M puts up the tailgate for you. It takes care of everything. Starting at like $600, goes all the way up to like, for New Mexico, it goes all the way up to like $3,500. You know, for some of the big games, yeah. For some of the big games, it goes like up to $10,000 for like Alabama and whatnot. So you can
tailgate.
Yeah, you can do a tailgate package with the Aggies, and they will set it up for you with chairs, a tent.
Does Jimbo come say hi?
Tables. Jimbo will not come say hi.
Oh, fuck that.
So that's that's actually an added bonus. They charge you more because of it. So you gonna get yourself a tailgate party?
No, I'll be at the bar.
$10,000? No problem. Yeah.
I mean, I've gotten old enough where I don't even want to go to the games anymore. I enjoy watching them from the TV where I can watch a whole bunch and I don't have to sweat my ass off. Because I usually leave by halftime anyway. Every game I think we've been to, we leave at freaking halftime.
And here's the thing, Corey. On this specific day, that morning, we're going to be having a draft.
That's what I'm saying.
Fantasy football draft. So we're probably going to start drinking pretty early. By 6 o'clock, there's no telling whether we're even going to be like awake.
It's usually not a good sign when I start that early. And most of my good friends know this.
All right, let's get into a couple of talking points here for the 2023 Texas A&M football season, brother.
right,
Let's
go ahead.
start on the defensive side, man. I just want to go through some players and different things that we expect
right.
to sort of excel this year.
Yep.
Let's start on defense. Who do you
All right.
expect to be your defensive MVP?
McKinley Jackson.
I like that call.
It was a toss up between him and Chappelle, but I'm sticking with Jackson.
Yeah, I think McKinley's a good call. I do think that, in all honesty, he is the sort of rock in the middle of that defense. He makes a difference, and because he allows everybody else a little bit more freedom to play, right? Last year we saw it when he wasn't there. When he was there, when he got healthy towards the end of the year, that defense was better. But at the end of the day, Durkin's still going to have to call plays, right?
Right.
I think that's going to be an important piece too. There's a couple of other guys I want to mention here because I think that they've got a chance to be the MVP. You named one of them, Chappelle. If that guy progresses to what I think he's going to progress this year, into a shutdown corner where he is taking away one side of the field, you can do so many other things with the rest of the guys in that secondary to help yourself and do different, blitz packages and everything else. So, if he's able to take that next step and become a premier corner in the SEC, which I think he can, he could be the MVP for this team. And then there's one other guy I'm going to bring up. Actually, there's two other guys I'm still going to bring up.
Anderson.
Bryce Anderson was one of them. Man, everything I'm hearing is absolutely through the roof on Bryce Anderson. The dude is making such a difference, such an impression every day in practice. He comes to work, and he never lets up. The dude is a football player, and I am excited to see year 2 of Bryce Anderson. He's got a chance.
Okay.
And then the other guy is a guy that I've been high on.
Silla?
Turner. I think, yes.
Shamar Turner?
Shamar Turner is a guy that's going to take a huge step forward from his second to third year. Those junior year defensive linemen, man, that's when a lot of these guys start to just absolutely blow up. I expect him to do so. I think you look at him and he looks stout. Incredibly stout. I was impressed by how he looked in the spring, coming off the ball, playing a lot of defensive end. I think they move him inside during passing situations where he can also be very disruptive. And so he could be an inside-outside force, a lot like a guy like Leal, who was huge impact on those defenses. And so I think he's got an opportunity to be the defensive MVP as well from his growth from year 2 to 3.
I hear you. I like that. I'm surprised you didn't go with Silla or Diggs or whatever. I'm surprised you didn't go with any of those defensive ends besides Turner.
Yeah, I think at least one of those names is going to come up here shortly.
All right, go ahead.
Most improved.
I'll say Cooper at linebacker because I don't think he can have as bad a season as he did last year because we were expecting a lot last year out of him. I think the expectation level is down this year because we saw what happened last year. So I think he'll come out and have a good season.
I love that pick. I love that pick. His teammates have been raving about how he's come to work this year. Just absolute attention to detail, all the time. And when his teammates have compared a very, let's say, nonchalant last year Cooper to the guy that showed up this year, man, that has just seems to be a lot more dedicated to the craft, I have a feeling he's got to be that guy, like you said. Not to mention, he's been now on campus for 4 years, right?
Right.
It's his time. Because the young guys coming up behind him are showing things. Linebackers like Torian York, like Harris, some of these other guys. Eventually, they're going to take his spot. if this isn't the year he takes that step, one of those other guys is going to jump.
Gotcha.
So I love that pick. Turner is obviously a guy that I believe is going to be hugely improved because I just talked to you about the fact that I think he's got an opportunity to be one of the MVPs. He wasn't there last year, right? But then, and we just talked about Anderson as well, right? So both of those guys have to be in the conversation.
Right.
Another two guys. We've talked a lot about them. How about a surprise performer? And I think this is where I go back to a guy you mentioned earlier.
Who are you talking about? Scylla?
Malik Silla, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking surprise is going to be one of the because I'm not expecting anything. I want to see how they play. It's going to be one of those transfers that's going to get some PT. I don't know what to expect from those guys. That's why I'm going to say it's a surprise. Whatever they give me and show me, because I have no idea.
So
Grimes,
you're talking Grimes or
what's the kid's name from Boston College?
DeBerry.
And I'm hearing better things about DeBerry than I am Grimes right now. So I mean, we'll see. I think the surprise player is going to be who's ever on the opposite side of Chappelle.
Yeah, I definitely got Josh DeBerry on that list. I think he definitely could be a surprise guy, especially if he's taking a lot of those reps at the opposite corner. But I do think my number one guy is probably Silla, and maybe he's not a surprise because I've been touting his name all summer long. Maybe that's not a surprise, right? But I think a lot of folks don't remember Silla as part of that amazing number one recruiting class, right? They don't remember that he was one of the first defensive linemen on that list and how highly recruited that guy was. They haven't been paying attention because they keep thinking about Stewart and freaking Nolan and Brunlow Dindy and all those guys with good reason, right? To think about those guys. But they've sort of, Eni White, they've sort of lost track of Silla, who all of a sudden has looked just absolutely phenomenal coming off the edge. Explosive, right? And so I think he does become a little bit of a surprise there. I stated last week that he's going to be the leader in sacks for this A&M football team. I still believe that. And I think that would also be a surprise. I'm going to give you one more name here, Corey, because he very well could be getting a lot of reps opposite of Chappelle, and that's Javon Thomas, the freshman. The guy has been showing out in practice.
Is he one of the guys from the small towns?
He sort of was one of the bigger recruits. Dalton Brooks is the kid from Shiner.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking.
Yeah, so he's also been getting a lot of pub as well. So some of those small town guys are also playing well, but I think Thomas has a chance to actually be potentially a starter on this defense at that number 2 corner spot. And if that's the case, that'll be a huge surprise because everybody expected it to be Grimes. Everybody but me, and a lot of folks now expect it to be Josh DeBerry, right? So one of those transfers should be getting the reps. One of those guys has been, played college football for a few years now. The reps, and the experience sort of point to that. But at the same time, we know it's all about production, baby. It's all about production, baby.
Absolutely. It's crazy. We're talking about the best of these players on the defense, and we haven't said Damani Richardson's name at all.
Isn't that something? So
him or what's his name? Gilbert. We haven't said what's his name? The other guy?
I'll tell you this. Jordan Gilbert, I think, could be listed in the surprise group because I think he's going to have a pretty darn good year. I think Gilbert.
I thought he had a good season last year. I thought he was solid last year.
Yeah. And I expect him to take another step forward. You know what I mean?
We haven't talked much about him this whole offseason.
No, and that's probably an oversight on our part. Good job bringing him up right there, Corey, because that dude to me is a very solid player. He is a good player. And last year he might have been, especially because of the fact that Antonio Johnson was hurt for a part of the season, he might have been your best safety overall as a safety, right?
Better than Damani?
Yes. I love Damani, man. I love Damani, but the fact of the matter is that dude is constantly lost in coverage. And as a safety, you can't be lost in coverage. You just can't. And
dude, I'll tell you, you take 2 plays away from last season where Damani, those big plays he had, what else did he do?
Yeah, of course, those 2 plays won 2 games, right?
Well, God, we could have finished up 3-9.
Yeah. Exactly. Isn't that something?
Terrible. That's terrible.
Isn't that something? All right, next category here. Best DB. I think this is the easiest one of all that we've talked about. Best DB, Chappelle.
Chappelle.
Hands
Yeah.
down, no questions.
No.
All right, we're gonna move on from that because it's so easy. Best linebacker.
I'm gonna say Cooper. I don't know who else to put in that category right yet. I haven't seen anybody else really play it except for
I guess you could go Russell.
I'm not saying Russell. Sorry.
No, yeah, not saying Russell either. I think it's got to be Cooper. It better be Cooper. How about that? It better be Cooper. If it's not Cooper, they need to fire the linebacker coach and the defense coordinator. Fortunately, that's just one guy.
I mean, should we count Overton and all those guys in there? Because I mean, Jesus, he has them all playing damn near linebacker now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think if it's not Cooper, it's probably a guy we've heard a ton about all offseason.
Harris? Who?
The freshman York.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Harris or something.
Dorian York. So, it's funny to me like these guys are teammates, right? But York just showed up, right? He's been on campus for 6 months because I think he was here in the spring. So, but the other day they were interviewing Russell, and he was talking about different players that have been showing out. Of course, he mentions York, and somebody kind of responds like, "Who?" And he goes, Torian. Is that how you say it? He doesn't even know how to say the guy's name. That's his teammate. I love it. Love it.
Hey.
Good camaraderie there in the locker room, clearly.
Yeah.
But I do. I think it goes from Cooper. I think it goes to York a second. Look, Russell, I'm going to tell you what, and I was listening to, like I said the other day in an interview, he's just not a football player, brother. He's not.
Well, I'm sure this is his last season, right?
I appreciate the dude for being a part of the team.
There you go.
All right, best D lineman. Here's a tough one, man.
Not for me. I've already said the MVP is going to be McKinley Jackson. I mean, I love Walter Nolan. I think Nolan's a beast. But, I mean, Nolan might be the best defensive lineman. Shamar Turner. I mean, you can name 10 guys on that defensive line, but I think McKinley Jackson, he's my pick.
Sound pick. And I think that, hey, look, McKinley's got to stay healthy, number one. I obviously went into why I think Shamar Turner is going to be a beast this year. I kind of expect it to be Shamar Turner to challenging McKinley Jackson. I think Walter Nolan is on the verge this year. I think he has a huge improvement from last year. But I bet that Walter Nolan next year is a guy that all of a sudden goes and blows the heck up. And I say that because there's something about those guys, once they've been on campus they're into their third year, man. There's a difference, especially those guys up front. The development that goes through 2 years on campus, man, changes those dudes. This year, when you talk to Nolan, you can tell like he's a lot more focused on some of the mental aspects and this and this and that. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but at the end of the day, that year here where that all becomes just kind of it becomes natural, right? Then he's going to be another step forward, right? And to me, that's when that dude's just going to kill it. So I go with maybe a tie, I split it. I'm going McKinley and Turner.
Well,
what a freshman to watch on defense, man.
You probably that Thomas kid you're talking about. I don't expect much from Hicks this year. There's too much depth of that defensive line for him to really get enough playing time to make a difference. Maybe that York kid you're talking about. Other than that, I don't see a whole lot of freshmen making a difference this year.
Yeah, Torian York or Javon Thomas. I think one of those two guys probably is the biggest impact freshman on this defense. And I'll tell you this, once again, it pisses me off, dude. It just pisses me off because it reminds me of Kevin Sumlin. and Jimbo's press conference, and he's sitting there talking up the freshmen and how good they are, which is great and fine and dandy, right? Like, I love that. But then he goes another step and says, hey, look, these guys are going to play. This guy's a player. He's going to get on the field. He's going to play. Here's my problem, dude. Every year you come in and you give me an excuse that this team is too young and inexperienced. And then every year, the next year, you go start off a bunch of freshmen. So at the end of the day, are you an inexperienced team, or do you just start a bunch of inexperienced players? We've got a roster full of players that have been around. Don't put the freshmen on the field. Then you won't be inexperienced. Period. Easy as that. You got me?
I feel you.
All right, there goes my soapbox.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to the offensive side, Corey. And I want to change up our little order here. Let's start with best O-line. Best O-line.
God, I'm hoping it's Zune. I'm hoping he comes back healthy. I'll probably say Zune because I don't trust Fothery or Robinson over there. Dewberry, I like him a lot, but I'd say Zune.
So you called it for me. It's Dewberry.
Yeah, I figured it was.
I thought Dewberry was our best offensive lineman last year as a freshman. I think he's going to continue in that role. And look, that's not a knock on anybody else, dude. That dude showed last year that he can play. So
right.
I don't think that's a knock on anybody else. But you're right. There's a number of guys that have the opportunity to take that role. I mean, you would think that Robinson was a guy that stands out, but he's been on campus for 6 years and still hasn't shown it. And Fothery took a step back last year. And he's coming off an injury. So you got to hope that he gets healthy, one, and then two, then can follow through, right?
Right.
How about your best running back?
Well, I think Ruben Owens in the end of things will become the best running back, but it start the season, like I don't know, probably Daniels. But I'd say I think Owens is going to be the overall pick there at the end of the season.
I got a lot of love for Daniels, man, and I do think that Daniels ends up early in the season getting plenty of reps and maybe shows that he's the better back at the beginning. I have a feeling that as time goes by, Owens will eventually overtake him because that dude has got some special ability, right? And maybe it doesn't happen this year. Maybe it goes into next year. But I expect by the end of the season, he's getting a lot.
I had some guys at work giving Moss some love. Guys at work giving Moss love. They were like, "Hey, don't look past Moss," is what they're saying. So we'll see.
Absolutely, and I'm not taking anything away from Moss. I think the dude's a great player and a big time athlete, but I do like Daniels best. How about the best wide receiver? This is a tough question.
Best overall wide receiver on our team. Probably Stewart. I mean, I like Moose. I like Anias. I like Thomas, but I think Stewart's the best overall. In my eyes.
Look, I'm going to reclassify Anias as sort of an all-purpose player because because that's what he is.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to include him in this category. So I'm kind of doing my own, just making my own rules up here, like I always.
Like it. Yeah.
And given that I said that, now my choices are Stewart, Moose, and Thomas.
Well, it's either Moose or Stewart.
I love Moose.
Yeah,
I
know you do.
I love Moose. And if
he's gonna be coming off the bench,
if he had any other offensive coordinator coach, in the past couple of years, he'd have been an all
in the NFL by now.
Probably in the NFL by now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I can't believe he stuck around. I'm glad he did. I just can't believe he did. He must be getting paid pretty well.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Hey, I'll send him a little NIL money. Love the dude. How about the best tight end?
He's hurt. Green. Until then, I mean, I guess Jake. Max, I like Max, but Max isn't gonna get the ball down the field like Jake and these other guys are.
Yeah, I guess we have to. I mean, I don't know. As much as I don't want to, because the dude hasn't done anything, I guess I'm going to have to
Yeah.
go with Jake, right?
All right.
I'm going to stick with it. Best
There you go.
quarterback. All right, we already went
Connor.
through this. It's the only
Yeah, Connor.
Connor.
Yeah.
Uh,
Freshman?
yeah, maybe.
Freshman to watch?
Yeah, how about the freshman to watch? I think there's probably one answer to this question.
Well, I know everybody's thinking Owens, but I think Basantis might get on the field before you know it. Watch that freshman.
Hey, that's a good point. I mean, they've been talking him up, and he's been running a
Yeah.
lot for the first team. Obviously, especially if father, he doesn't get fully healthy. I think Basantis probably gets in there. I think it's still Ruben Owens no matter what. Here's my
it is.
and here's my thing with Basantis. I love the dude. He's absolutely been showing out and doing some great things. But you don't want a freshman on your offensive line, buddy. You don't.
No.
You don't want him in there.
Well, you had Dewberry last year, and you loved it.
Yeah, no. I think maybe it's because the less they're coached by Adazio, the better they are.
Oh man, that's a good one.
All right. How about this one? Most improved player for this offense.
God, just pick a guy from the offensive line. Pick one.
Any one of them.
Any of them.
That's
Foster, Fothery, Robinson, even Zune. I mean, you name one of those guys.
If the offensive line is even decent, you can just take any one of those guys and put his name on that award.
Exactly.
Two other guys that you need to consider: Connor and Thomas. Everybody's been talking of Thomas and everything else, but obviously Connor, as he takes his team from a 22 point a game score to a 35 point a game score, I think that's a big deal.
Right.
Surprise performers.
Johnson, tight end. I think it's his time to shine. Get an opportunity.
Bandwagon, huh?
You got to.
Big Bad Brad has got your attention, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to take advantage of your opportunities. You only get, so much time. This could be like what's his name? Came off the bench for the Yankees and never let it go. Maris? Who was it?
Yeah, that sounds good. Hey, look, no, look, he's got a great opportunity in front of him, right? I mean, that's the first thing you need is an opportunity to get on the field.
Exactly.
I think there's a couple of guys that I would throw in there. Nabu, because he may be your starting center in spite of everybody. It's the fact that everybody believes that Foster is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
And so I would probably put him into that conversation.
Okay.
All right, how about MVP?
Well, I mean, we have a good season. I give the whole offensive line an MVP if we have a good season, but it's probably going to be Connor. That's just how it goes, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, he's going to distribute the ball to so many different wide receivers. It's going to be hard to pick one of those guys because I can't imagine Stewart and Moose and Anias and Thomas all having the numbers that far apart. Is that,
I'm going to call it
it's a numbers game.
I'm going to call it Anias, and I'm going to tell you why.
I mean, that's who I was leaning towards at first, but then I was like, Connor's going to get the ball to all these guys and so many weapons. I'm going to go Connor.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. At the end of the year, they're going to vote Connor, right? If this offense is good, they're going to vote Connor because they always just give it to the quarterback. But in my opinion, it will be Anias because of this. One, he's going to have production as a receiver, right? That's going to be there. Not only that, though, I think he's also going to have production carrying the football. He's going to get some carries in the running game. But to add to that, he's a just absolutely phenomenal blocker for when his other guys are catching the ball. His effort is always 100%. And the dude is the heart of the freaking team. And to me, because of those reasons, some of which are intangible, not tangible, I think he's the MVP for this offense.
There you go. I like it.
Questions from the tailgate, Corey, brought to you by David Coffin PLLC, tax controversy and litigation lawyers, smart solutions for federal tax issues, experience, respected representation for taxpayers. Over 20 years of experience in tax controversy, helping taxpayers all over Texas. Call 817-251-7049. First question for you, buddy. Complete the sentence. Aggies win 10 or more games if
they listen to our show. listen to us. We tell you, stay out of your own way. The offensive line needs to play well. That's about it. If the offensive line plays well and Durkin doesn't F it up as a defensive coordinator and go with 3-man fronts, I think we win close to 10 games. I mean, if not more. We could win 11 because we have the talent.
4 or more defensive linemen on the field at all times, and you will win 10 games. How about that?
Exactly. Yeah. I like it.
How about this? Aggies win 7 or less games if.
The exact opposite. What we just said. Durkin starts coaching like he did last year, three-man lines. The offensive line can't protect anyone. Injury bug hits, and everybody's out, And it could be a long season if that happens.
If the offensive line is so bad that this offense has trouble scoring, that's going to happen because Jimbo and Petrino are going to turn on each other. Players are going to start pointing fingers. Next thing you know, this thing's all going to come unraveled. So I agree. If the offensive line is so poor that this offense struggles early in the season, it's going to lead to a 7 or less game wins.
Oh, absolutely. Because, there's plenty of games out there that we could lose. I was talking to my buddy today on the phone, and we went through at least 5 games that, Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss, Arkansas, even the Miami game could be a toss-up right now, if our team plays like they did last year.
And let me be clear, I don't expect that to happen. I don't expect that to happen.
Yeah.
But it could real quick.
Absolutely.
You want to throw out a quick pub for where we're doing game day Saturday this for the New Mexico game?
Have we talked about it?
Are we going to do carnies?
I don't know. We haven't talked about it. This is all a surprise. I never know.
Maybe carnies, right?
Maybe kind of. Well, we're gonna have a pod before that, so we'll let people know before.
We'll have a pod next week to announce
we might start doing more pods a week instead of just one.
Could be Angry Elephant.
Could be.
All right.
Could be Twin Peaks. Who knows?
Here we go. Question number 2. Coach with the most pressure on A&M staff this season.
All of them. All of them. Every coach on the staff is going to get fired if we don't win at least 9 games. It's going to be a new coaching staff.
You're right. Most of them will get fired if we don't win at least 9 games. You're correct.
Starting with Jimbo, I'm not sure about the offensive coordinator, but I'm sure the defensive coordinator's gone. I'd fire him. The offensive line coach, fired.
Durkin and Adazio. There's my.
What about Jimbo?
Man, Jimbo's contract. He's got no pressure. Guaranteed money.
Who cares?
He does.
He's a guaranteed loser if he loses this season. He's a guaranteed loser.
All I'm saying is, even if they fire him,
we need better than that.
Even if they fire him, he's going to walk away with another $70 million. I'm sure he's going to be quite happy.
Okay, let's say we do fire Jimbo after the season. I'm just saying, what if? Who would you like to see come coach the Aggies?
There's some guys.
Anybody you want. You can say Nick Saban. I don't give a shit.
If you're telling me anybody I want, I'm going Kirby Smart.
Kirby Smart. Okay.
Now, Kirby's never leaving Georgia, so don't worry about it.
What about the coach of Tennessee? You wouldn't take him? Heupel?
I'd think about it. You know who I'd probably think about beforehand? Dan Lanning at Oregon.
What about Lincoln Riley?
Who's got SEC ties.
What about Lincoln Riley?
No, I don't want Lincoln.
Why?
Even though, don't get me wrong, that dude would come over here with this group of wide receivers. Man, can you imagine that offense?
You don't think he'd make Connor a Heisman hopeful? He's
100%.
Like 3 or 4. How many
100%.
Heisman guys have won under him? They've got like 3 or 4 Heismans under him.
100%.
So I'm just telling you. He plays to his talent like coaches should do. Oh, well.
USC bought him like a $10 million home, so that you'd have to throw that on top of the salary.
Oh, that's nothing in College Station.
Corey,
All right.
you'd have to buy all of College Station for that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Giga Maggies, AP, C Money, signing out from the tailgate.
Adios.